Sony has launched the Xperia PRO-I, the world's first smartphone to feature a 1-inch sensor equipped with phase detection autofocus. It is positioned not just as a phone, but as a member of the Alpha series family of cameras. Sony says that the Xperia PRO-I is developed with the same imaging technology found in the Alpha line, hence the insistence that it is just as much a camera as it is a smartphone. While there are other cameras that are available that leverage a 1-inch sensor, Sony is the first to bring that size to a smartphone along with full phase detection autofocus. Sony's Xperia PRO-I display. I debated on whether I should mention the display because at first I assumed it was just another OLED panel with a 120Hz refresh rate, but then I started tinkering around with the different menus in the Settings app and found something pretty neat. By default, the 120Hz refresh rate is turned off, which is a bit jarring and doesn't suit the phone's display at all. The colors were vibrant and punchy but felt a bit oversaturated, like I was looking at an old Samsung Galaxy phone. But under the image quality settings, I found what I was looking for: creator mode, hardware and design. Yeah, the header is the same that you'll see on my other reviews, but that's because it's important to point out. With the PRO-I, you won't be met with a frame that is an absolute fingerprint magnet, but instead, you'll find ridges that go around the entire edge of the phone. You'll also notice that Sony put all of the hardware buttons on the same side, something that I sorely wish other smartphone makers would do. What's even more impressive about this is that the PRO-I sports 2 additional hardware buttons towards the bottom of the phone. The first is just a round button that activated Sony's Videography Pro mode. The second button is a bit more elongated and offers a different texture than the rest of the frame. Pressing the button for about a second will activate the PRO-I's Photo Pro app, giving you a quick and easy way to snap a photo. Having all of the buttons on the same side of the phone, holding the phone, and using the button replicates the feeling of using a traditional camera. The elongated button for the Photo Pro app doubles as a shutter, complete with a half press to activate the automatic focus, just like you would find when using a DSLR. Sony's Xperia PRO-I cameras. The PRO-I uses the 1.0 type Exmor RS sensor with a 2.4 pixel pitch that Sony says will result in stunning low-light performance. It also supports RAW 12-bit shooting and a special dual aperture f2 and f4 iris system that allows photographers to physically adjust the depth of field instead of relying on software. In addition to a 1.0 type sensor, the Xperia PRO-I features a Bions X for mobile and a front-end LSI. Sony says that this advanced processor allows the device to deliver unprecedented speed and improved image quality in a wide range of scenes. That main sensor features the aforementioned 315 phase detection autofocus points that feature 90% coverage of the sensor. Sony points out that in addition to a larger sensor, that 90% is an improvement over the 70% found on the Xperia 1 Mark III. That coverage allows the PRO-I to support real-time IF for humans and animals, real-time tracking, 20 frames per second AF or a burst shooting, and an anti-distortion shutter that allows for cleaner capture of fast-moving objects. Over the years, there's been a common complaint when it comes to Sony phones. While the company provides the camera sensors found in many of your favorite phones, Sony's phones just can't seem to match up when it comes to image processing. For one reason or another, Sony has struggled with this, but it seems the tide has started to shift with the PRO-I as the pictures that I took regularly matched up with how I portrayed them through the viewfinder. Another area where Sony is really trying to stand out from the crowd is in the accessories that are available with the PRO-I, and it all stems from the use of the massive 1-inch sensor. If you plan on using the PRO-I to regularly record videos, namely vlogs, there's an optional Bluetooth shooting grip that doubles as a tripod, along with a vlog monitor that magnetically attaches to the back of the phone. You'll just need to plug in the included USB-C cable to your phone and the monitor, and you can get up and running in no time. On the shooting grip, you'll find various controls for snapping photos, starting and stopping video, and being able to make adjustments on the fly without needing to use the phone itself. All in all, I came away impressed with the camera capabilities of the Xperia PRO-I. However, I did have one slight gripe. While it's incredible to offer a massive 1-inch sensor in a design that's as slender as this, I do wish that the telephoto lens offered a bit more range. By default, you can enjoy 2x zoom or about 50, but the results just weren't all that impressive to my eye. Maybe the Galaxy S22 Ultra and iPhone 13 Pro Max have spoiled me, but this is one area where the PRO-I fell a bit short for me. Video features. Sony says the Xperia PRO-I is the world's first smartphone to allow users to shoot high-quality video in 4012p, which is to say the footage is actually captured and stored in full 120 frames per second rather than interpolated down to 24 frames per second after capture. It is also the first in the Xperia line to offer IF technology and object tracking in video capture. Video is captured in HDR H.265, MP4 and held BT2020 10-bit with 4.20-bit depth. Stable video is made possible thanks to a combination of optical steadyshot and Sony's flawless eye technology. The combination enables a reduction in shake even in low-light conditions. In addition to stereo microphones, the Xperia PRO-I features a built-in monaural microphone next to the main camera which allows for the clear recording of speech while other sounds remain in the background. In addition, the Xperia PRO-I includes Sony's audio separation technology to effectively filter wind noise both for stereo and monaural microphones. Sony Xperia PRO-I, software, battery life, and other features. As for performance, there's not much to explain about here. The Snapdragon 888 and 12GB of RAM handle everything you need, and the Pro matches up with some of the best 2021 flagship Android phones in that department. Just make sure you at least enable 120Hz, as scrolling just isn't nearly as smooth otherwise. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not a professional photographer or videographer, but I found the Cinema and Video Pro apps quite unintuitive. Even the Photo Pro app took some getting used to. Granted, this phone isn't meant for the layperson, but that doesn't excuse poor design like settings buried in convoluted areas. I understand that Sony wanted to give an authentic experience that professionals might feel more at home with, but I think most people have grown accustomed to how smartphone photo or video apps are laid out nowadays. I think Sony could have done a much better job with these apps, perhaps by better nesting settings and tweaks better. Some options like the manual controls feel like a pain to get to, and I only adjusted some things slightly like ISO and white balance. Battery life. One place the Xperia PRO-I really struggles is battery life. In the Tom's Guide battery life test, a benchmark where we set a phone's display to 150 nits of brightness and then task the device to endlessly reload web pages until it dies, the Xperia PRO-I barely exceeded 7 hours 7:04 in its 120Hz mode. At 60Hz, the phone held out a bit longer at 9 hours and 8 minutes, though that's still nearly an hour behind the average phone. The only other modern Android phone that performs that poorly is the Pixel 6 Pro at 7 hours and 49 minutes in its 120Hz mode. The current king of Android camera phones also struggles, but it goes for 45 minutes longer than the Xperia PRO-I. Special features. The Xperia PRO-I features 2 extra buttons alongside the power button and volume rocker. One is a shortcut key that you can map to any app. By default, it launches the Video Pro app, but you can set it to the camera app or whatever you have installed. Next to that is a shutter button, which is very handy while you're taking photos or videos. Another area I think the Xperia PRO-I shines is the speaker quality. These are very nice phone speakers, certainly on par with anything else on the market. Listening to my favorite music on the Pro was just as good as my iPhone 13 Pro Max. In some ways, the Xperia PRO-I speakers are richer and fuller, with stronger and warmer bass than Apple's. You can set up Dolby Atmos and 360 spatial audio, and there's even support for an AIDSEE Ultimate Upscaler for compressed music. Sony Xperia PRO-I. Review. Conclusion. Truthfully, I'm extremely conflicted when it comes to the Pro-I. On one hand, it's the best Sony phone that I've ever used, even if you take the price tag and unique camera features out of the equation. The phone itself is rock solid in terms of performance, while also offering a design that is comfortable to hold and doesn't make me feel like I'm carrying around a wide brick in my pocket throughout the day. Plus, the inclusion of the dedicated camera and video buttons on the side make it easy for me to take the phone out, snap a photo, and continue going on with what I was doing. On the other hand, it's very obvious that this isn't designed for the everyday person that only occasionally takes photos and doesn't really care about the size of the image sensor. How is it obvious? The Pro-I's price tag is just too high for it to be an option that you should even consider. Unless you're a videographer or professional photographer and want something other than the Galaxy S22 Ultra or iPhone 13 Pro Max for mobile photography, this phone isn't for you, and it's a shame because it's a really good phone. For more informative videos, please subscribe Info of Tech.